Should I shift a little that side? Like,
Nepali girl solo gaउँको.
Yeah, sorry. It's all.
Another check your mic, please.
Check.
Tap it.
No.
Check. No, check.
Hello. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just like England, Gorkhaland. आमा फर्किँदैन चेलीको मन 10 धारा नरुभे आमा पाउँदैनौ माइतीको माया 10 धारा नरुभे आमा फर्किँदैन चेलीको मन 10 धारा नरुभे आमा पाउँदैनौ माइतीको माया घरकै नानी माया मारे त्यागे छ ममता र प्रीति घरकै बासी गति छाडी लागे छ लालचको बानी जली मेट्ने सस्तो जीवन बिर्सिरहने मानिसले मान्छेलाई खाने आत्मैको पिर माटोले धुने जली मेट्ने सस्तो जीवन बिर्सिरहने मानिसले मान्छेलाई खाने आत्मैको पिर माटोले धुने दिदी बहिनीमा रिस र ठेला साथी सङ्गमा शङ्खाको मेला हेर आमै नेपालीको रेला
Who was that? What was that sound? What was that language? Did you get that taste? Did you feel it? Let me start by a list of thank yous for people who made the show happen. I firstly want to thank Dhanya Rajendran, the editor-in-chief, our CEO, Vignesh, who, along with Dhanya, the two of them are the ones who came up with the idea that I should do a show. But I didn't know what I should do. And once I had an idea that I want to do a show on isms or politics or something of that sort, to help me narrow down that idea, I was helped immensely by Abhinandan Sekhri of News Laundry. He took me in for about a month. I was in Delhi, where he trained me. As you can see, I'm still not very comfortable in front of the camera, but I try. And Abhinandan actually pushed me into doing this and helped me a lot in this format. I'm a print reporter now. At the end of this 1 year, I can say I'm also now a multimedia journalist. So Abhinandan, Vignesh and Dhanya, thank you so much. But there are a lot of others also I need to thank, and I have a list so that I don't forget. The producer of News Laundry, I want to thank Parikshit Sanyal. Parikshit is the person who helped me understand angles, how to behave in a studio. He's the head of production in News Laundry, along with Priyali Dhingra. Now, Priyali Dhingra is somebody who is, a crossover in a sense, because she's somebody who knows her technical stuff very well, but she's also somebody who's trained in journalism. So the insights I got from her, if you remember the interviews I did of Sitaram Yechuri, D. Raja, Sagarika Ghosh back in Delhi in the beginning of this year. Priyali Dhingra, thank you so much for all those inputs you gave me. Helped me understand, where I should enter certain issues from. So thank you so much. There's, of course, in the beginning of this show, I mean, every time you see this little clip that comes in the beginning with a lot of graphics, all of that took a lot of work. Shambhavi Thakur and Govind from the design team of News Laundry, thank you so much for putting that design together. I hope to improve. I hope they were saying that they hope to improve on that design in the coming year. There's a lot more, in fact, that we want to do in the coming year. Before I get into that, again, once I got that training done in Delhi, then I came back to Bangalore and I had this crew over here, our TNM team in Bangalore, who took this baby and carried it. I want to thank Bhuvan Malik. He's right here behind the camera. He's somebody who's been holding the show together while I'm trying to deal with news breaks and running around here and there. Bhuvan is somebody who's managed to keep the production going. There's Ajay over here who's right behind this camera. Thank you very much, Ajay. There's Megha Mukundan. Megha helps, me kind of prepare for an interview, get to know the people who I'm interviewing with research. She helps coordinate the show. So Megha is right there. Thank you very much to Megha as well. So that's the list of people I wanted to thank, as well as you, because somewhere halfway through the year, you started sending some monies thanking us for this show, because I've always said that this is a show which is attempting at education. We have dealt with heavy political isms, I would argue, Marxism, feminism, Ambedkarism. I spent days preparing for each interview. There were some interviews for which I read 2-3 books. That's how much preparation went into it. And I really felt rewarded for that effort when you subscribed to our, not just News Minute, but also to News Laundry, the joint subscription. So thank you very much for that. Going forward for the next year, we have another list of requests for you, which is, so you must have noticed in this year, particularly with the help of News Laundry, we've done a lot of video, audio, multimedia stuff. That takes a lot of equipment. It takes a lot of people right here, right now. For this production, there are 3 people working behind the scenes. There are multiple cameras. The cameras that we use are not up to the mark. They are not field friendly. We are still using phones. Some of the mics that we have are not state of the art. You need that to do recording outdoors. Our lights in the studio are not the best. We could do with some help. If you could help us, we'll be able to afford a better setup in the studio. So that was my long request and thank you and a show of gratitude. Things that we get that we don't entirely deserve all the time. So thank you so much for showing the support for when we don't always meet your expectations. I've read your criticism as well. So there are times we fail, but those are the times you allow us to kind of make those mistakes and learn from them. And thank you for your kindness in pointing out those mistakes. I'm going to try and improve on them in the coming year. Now for this sound that you heard at the beginning of this episode, where's that sound from? That sound is from what? All over the world in a sense. It is also from Bangalore. This year-end special is about showcasing Bangalore. I want you to see people who represent this city. And that's why I had Parvaz in the beginning. Then we had Manjeet Sarkar, the comedian who's also made his home here. And the point I was trying to make with those 2 interviews, with those 2 people, in fact, that whole set, was to, display, to showcase the diversity of the kind of people who've made Bangalore their home, and how the city has welcomed them. Now, this sound here is from Bangalore. It is also from Kalimpong. The guys you see over here, they're called Gauley Bhai. Those of you who didn't know, I'm surprised if you don't know them. If you don't know them, you're probably living under a rock or something. Gauley Bhai is that fresh new sound which is taking over India. They are traveling to different parts of the country. They're from Kalimpong. We have Vichit here, who's the lead
hi,
vocalist.
Sudipto.
Hi, Vichit. Thanks for doing this. Vichit's brother here, Anudvat, is on the bass guitar. Both of them brothers from the same mother. And they have two other brothers from other mothers. That is Joe on the drum, Joe Panikar, Cheta boy in Bangalore. And over there we have Siddhant on lead guitars. Siddhant is also from Kalimpong. And Siddharth, there's an interesting story behind this lead guitarist. I'm sure you will find all these stories interesting. I discovered something very interesting about Siddhant. I thought he was this quiet guy, but then he opened his mouth and he said some very interesting things in the lead up to this interview. I hope he'll talk about those things today. But for starters, this band is how do I put it? Quite a political band. It is a band of people that's making not just music, but is also working with communities not just back in Kalimpong, communities in Bangalore as well. They work with disadvantaged communities in Bangalore. So they're giving as much as they get in terms of love. So Vichit, before I get into all of that political stuff,
Right.
okay, I first want to talk about the musical stuff, because all of that comes after this. This is the vehicle on which
Center
all of
is
it
the
rides.
music.
Yeah. So the sound, my first impressions, firstly, of course, as you know, Parvaz is a band that I've known for many years.
An
they're friends
amazing
of mine.
band. Yes.
They're friends of my brothers. I've seen them literally.
Friends of ours too.
Yeah, growing up outside our house, literally. So, Khalid's voice and your voice, right? I can't help but notice that you're very different as can be. I mean, he's got the Sufiana thing going for him, plus this baritone and all of that. You have this voice which sometimes makes me remember these throat singers from Mongolia. Sometimes, I get that vibe. I don't know from where, Of course, there is this very earthy, I'm sure you've heard that word, used to describe your voice.
Earthy, kind of, lot of
But
times it comes along.
more than all of that, what you both do, and why I kind of am a little wary of listening to your music, is that okay, so at a certain pitch, there's something you do with your voice to squeeze that tear which is resisting, okay? There's one, if somebody is like a stoic person and they have one tear hiding behind their lids, that was something in your pitch at one level you do which kind of pushes that tear out. Okay, okay.
Wow. Sudipto.
Okay.
Have I been pulling tears out of you?
Yeah, man. It's done a lot to me, your music, these two bands particularly. I must say that. So yeah, let's get into the sound. And here's where, in addition to the vocals, I'm talking about also the guitar, the lead guitar and stuff like that. The way the sounds again over there, I'm not able to place them. Some of the sounds to me even sounds, how do I put it? Eastern European, a little gypsy. I've heard those notes somewhere.
I think for us, we have a lot of influences. Music has always been, I think for all of us, I can speak for the band. I think ever since we've come to this planet and we were born, and a few years your mind picks up, and I think music was introduced to us and we've always grown up alongside there. So then I think the kind of influences we have is very vast. But I think, as you were saying, with my singing and all, is also because I think we are also people who are very influenced by where we are from and our geographies and all. And then I also personally, I'm other people in the band also, I think we are very inspired by a certain kind of folk music and certain cultural sounds that way. So I think even though perhaps we do not understand them fully, we are very drawn to that sound and that style of it has a geographical sense that when you listen to that sound or that voice or that singing, even Khalid actually, right? It gives you a certain sense of geography in that sense. So I think it kind of started with that kind of an idea, and it has been growing now for 8 years, I think. I think everywhere, even rhythmically, because also although three of us, we are from Darjeeling and Kalimpong, and it is like mountain land, so there's a lot of Nepali influences that way. The language we are singing in, as we started this thing, we sing in Nepali. Yeah. But I think also, I have lived in Bangalore for a long time now, and then there is Cheta, who kind of has really, I can also say he's guided the process for us musically a lot, like to me though, it's like these guys really like helped me like kind of figure out things out and how to move forward with the music. So that with Cheta also brings like his own kind of influence and sounds, which is also rooted, I think, in some kind of a landscape, a region, a geographical sense is there, and a cultural thing. So I think it is coming from there. But also on the other hand, we are also highly influenced by other genres of music, from jazz to like funk to like hip hop to blues. You can say, I mean, Sidhu, we call him, in Kalimpong, we call him Hendrix.
Oh, wow.
Since school, he's had that name. So you can
We've known each other from school.
Yeah, we are neighbors now. We like.
Okay.
In fact, we lived in the same house.
Yeah, we lived in the same house.
So Sidhu his parents have this building. And my dad, initially, he used to work in this place called Kershaw. So when he got posted to Kalimpong, we were living in Sidhu's building in one of the apartments there in rent, So whenever I picked up the guitar in school. So whenever he used to learn a song, we used to meet up as friends and we were like, bro, I learned nothing else matters. The basics, like, right? So we started like that. So yeah.
Nothing else, man. That's yeah, okay. It's a point in your life, no? Everyone goes through. Yeah,
it's one of those songs where if you're learning the guitar without a teacher, you have to go through it, knocking on the heaven's door. There's no escape from that.
Cheta, I want to get a quick in from you. Okay, so you're the diversity hire over here.
Yeah, fine.
The non-Kalimpong person who's now Kalimpong's one of Kalimpong's favorite imports.
He's one of the most favorite people in Kalimpong. I'll tell you.
That's what I've heard. You've really grown roots there, and what's happened there? And once you've answered that, I also want you to talk about Bangalore a little bit. You're the one who spent the most time here, you think?
Not necessarily. I think Vishit
came here first.
He came to study in Srishti in 2006.
Ah, you're from Srishti.
Hey, you didn't have to say that, man. But it's good. I proudly say I'm from Srishti. Yeah.
We can't disown our alma mater and our family, I think. We can't. Okay. No, but tell me, these roots you've grown in Kalimpong, and what it's done for you musically. Let's talk about it first, because we're going to get into some intense stuff when we start talking about the politics and the people. But speak about the music.
No, actually, the thing is, I mean, it's a little bit of like a weird story, because like I met these three in Bangalore. So we were like local friends, and we became really good friends through music, and we really connected at that level. And what happened was, as a result, we ended up hanging out a lot more, like started spending a lot of time together. And then the music started growing more intense, and we were writing also. So there was enough work to finish. So ever since we met, I think we got into this sort of like a work/friendship space.
Sure.
And that really helped us share music.
Okay, this is happening which year quickly?
This is around, I would say, end of
2017.
2017, you can say.
Right.
Yeah, the entire year of 2017, it was just us playing mindlessly for hours and recording it on our phone. Without thinking
where was this happening?
This was in Williamstown, close to Benson Town in Bangalore.
Okay.
So I had a small place there, and then we would meet there regularly after he'd finish office or before going to office, he'll come. And whatever time, or weekends, whatever time we had, we were jamming. So that really restored, I should say, where I was in my life at that time, it really restored a lot of faith in music, because like what I was noticing was like people wanted to do music, people wanted to be successful in their endeavors in music, but nobody wanted to put in the time. Like, because what happened was, like, whenever it comes to jamming and stuff like that, people would shy away, because obviously there are practical issues. They won't have time, they won't have gear, they won't have space. So people like, hey, jam, why? Like, let's figure something else out, kind of thing. But then what happened was, I come from the culture of playing music together, like bands and all that. We grew up on that kind of sound. So when I met these people, it was very like...
Where is this growing up happening?
I'm from Kerala. So like the thing is that what you observe in Kerala music is that a lot of it is ensemble music. Like for me, at least
because of church, you think?
Not just church. Church is there, but that's more towards the southern Kerala. I'm from Malabar, which is like the northern part of it.
Okay.
So a lot of Chenda, Chingari Melam, and I don't know if you've heard Chingari Melam.
Yeah.
It's like a really like sort of like a trippy form of percussive music. Sometimes they have melodies as well, but it's mostly percussive. Yeah. And it's often performed with the high percussion, and chenda, which is like that thing.
It's got trance-like quality to yeah.
Yes, because it's used to it's the old days entertainment.
Yeah.
It's got no classical roots there. It's a tribal instrument, and then it's performed tribally, like in that spirit. And it is to say invoke certain like celebratory moments. And it can also be used for mourning, like in the sense that we also play it during
funerals,
funerals and stuff like that. So that sound stuck in me because where I was growing up, that sound was consistent. There was a temple there was a local place they would play. So the chenda sound was consistent for me. Like so, but at the time I didn't realize the importance of it, because I was like, even though I could sing the parts, I could sing all those rhythms, but I was like, I never wanted to play chenda. But then I grew up. Then later, like as I was traveling and doing music, then it came back to me, that sound. I was like, okay, this is the sound I want to play with my drums. But then the challenge for a drummer is that you need a band to play with. You can't just sit at home and play drums. Right?
Yeah.
It's boring after a while. Yeah. So then I met these guys, and then I realized that in spite of the age difference, these guys are younger than me, but then in spite of that, we had a similar sort of like a, leaning as to how we wanted to do music. And we were really inspired by the similar kind of music, bands and styles. So we really started to inspire each other. And then we didn't want to make a band at all. We just wanted to play in a room. So we did that a lot. And one day I remember Vichit walked in and he said, bro, my brother's there. So he came in with this violin and stuff like that. And we started jamming. And immediately it fit together. Like, wow. We didn't even try harder. Like, then we started talking about, hey, can you write something? And so it had a very innocent beauty to it, the process. So I think that really glued us together, like that, the knowledge that a few people can come together and work like that with no, like, no big plans, no, like rules and theories. It's just straightforward, brass tacks, just get down to the instrument, play and figure your parts. So that culture got imprinted in us. So I would say Bangalore is that way, for me, a doorway to Kalimpong too. So because these are my bros, so when I go to Kalimpong, these are my people there. So I feel at home there because like their homes are there. So, and then through them, I've made so many friends there. So now when I go, I feel like I'm in my own place too. And I should say this, that Kerala and Kalimpong, there are similarities, man. Like even though it's diagonally opposite, and obviously what Kalimpong, a place like Darjeeling, as a collective hills, what they're going through, they're in a different time of in history, I should say, than South India, I guess. I think for Kerala and all that, the tumultuous times have passed a little bit, and then people are trying to sort of stabilize themselves in Kerala. There are issues in their own ways.
There's always churning happening in Kerala anyway. I mean,
there are other things. The underbelly of Kerala is completely different. I don't connect with it at all now because I haven't lived there. I haven't lived there in 22 years. So I don't know that deeply. But when I go there, I feel home. Sure. Similarly, when I go to Kalimpong, it's the same thing. Food is similar. People.
I wanted to actually get into that part, you're talking about 2017, you guys literally. Okay, yeah. And quickly, for those, I mean, I don't know who the uninitiated are, but in any case, for the uninitiated, there's the music and all of that, definitely. But bands are considered magical because of that, particularly non-commercial bands. The fact that 4 or 5 people who might not have known each other otherwise come together, do this thing. How does that happen?
I think it's like true love, because like when we kind of met, the 4 of us, the process, that the time that he's talking about, I think each of us know in our lives, I don't know, passively perhaps we were like seeking something.
Sure.
At least I think I was like really trying to seek something in my life for like a while actually, and I was feeling very restless in life for that. Like before 2017, since 2014, I was just like this headless like thing, I was going back to Kalimpong, coming back here, moving around. I don't know what I was looking for. I think I was looking for some space that will give some kind of a channel, internally to what we feel, how we exist, in life. But then when we started jamming and all, then that space became that thing. Right? Suddenly it was like everything was like making sense. It was like, yes, it's like fitting. And we had, like Cheta says, no plans that way, right? Like.
But when did Siddhant come in? So you are an engineer by training.
Yes, I did my
studied
engineering
in Chennai.
from Chennai. But I studied biotechnology. Got placed in an IT company, Accenture.
Okay.
So then I moved to Bangalore because they had placed me in Bangalore, and I had no plans to actually form a band. Like that was not in my head. Though I liked music and I wanted to play. I was a bedroom guitarist. I was doing that. But the only plan was a general plan was to climb up the ladder, the corporate ladder. But then I met Joe. I met Ouch. No, that's the general plan. But yeah,
Joe and it just went down.
just went. Yeah.
No, but especially during those times, I used to like really like shit on. Sorry, excuse me. I used to really like discourage people who were like who had jobs and stuff like that. just jokingly also. But then the kind of work we were doing, I'd been doing
It
music
had gotten too intense for me because it was like doing two things, doing two jobs at the same time.
Sure.
So
At least what I can say as an elder brother, no, Siddhant, as Ronak was saying, Anudat was saying that
Why
you
we
were
can't
going-
call him Ronak?
You can
Yeah.
call me Ronak,
I mean,
man.
just I don't know how formal
What do
this
you prefer, Anudat
interview
or
is
Ronak?
done.
I don't like it's fine. Honestly, it's both fine.
He fought for the name Anudat when he was like 6 years old.
Oh
I'm-
come on, we're talking about Gauley Bhai, not
So
my
anyways,
childhood,
as,
man.
like, as what I've seen is that like these two really like play together ever since they were children. So I think that influence was there. I think Siddhant, when they came, like Siddhant and him used to keep playing. They used to have this blues band.
yeah, we had a blues band.
set called the Mojo Hand.
Wow.
And then I used to be like, guys, please let me also sing like one song here and there, and they would let me also like sometimes. So that's how it was kind of life was moving. But then I think when this thing happened, then once Siddhant came in and we were jamming, then we did put some pressure on him to quit his job. Yes, we did that.
The first thing I think about, right? So you're talking about Kerala and Kalimpong. I get those things and all of that. But then this, these, in addition to all the other things, these two great food cultures. Okay, so what was feeding your music, I suppose, is something I just want to quickly, if you can flag that part.
This is something we mastered.
Your food exchanges, you would have tasted this and they would have, so tell me what, Siddhant, did you
First of all, let me say,
Kerala discoveries, yeah?
everybody in the band is an amazing cook except me. So, as a result, what's happened is that I end up eating great food left, right, and center. So, Kerala food, my sister cooks for me, and he makes some amazing food. Our sound engineer, he's also a band member, Sam. He's a fantastic cook as well. And Anudat and Vichit also have their.
I mean, we've learned Mallu cooking.
Oh.
Like Anudat is a great Mallu chef now. From Chechi only we learned from his sister.
So, it's insane like how much food we share. Like,
Also, it's like two places where beef is celebrated, Like beef is like main
Pork also.
diet.
Pork also.
But
Yeah.
beef is like rice.
Pork is like okay in Sundays and all we'll have pork, but generally it's beef.
Like vegetables will have beef like masala in our place.
Yeah.
And like in Kerala.
I love cultures where they celebrate a little bit of that food thing,
Yeah.
where there's that variety in the sense that it's not based on some sort of belief,
Yeah.
and it's just available, and then everybody exists within their pockets.
Sure.
You eat what you're comfortable
Yeah,
with, right? So Kalimpong and Darjeeling, I feel, is one of those places. Not only that, even though you categorize it as cuisine of a certain kind, it is still, I would feel, yummy. Like it's internationally yummy.
Of course.
Anybody
which is the case
who
with
eats
Kerala
it.
also. Which is the case with Kerala also, which is why I wanted to ask. I mean, when you guys, which one of you encountered Kerala food like recently? You mean? Like in the sense after 2017 or 16, 15? Siddhant, you've tried, when you were in Chennai,
I have
No.
no. I came when the jam room. So our jam room, which we had, right next to the jam room, there was a
Malabar.
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 Like, Kerala.
And what did you dig the first time? Like the absolute like
the
out of the
Malabari biryani is the best, and
Beef paratha.
beef and paratha, Kerala paratha.
No, I think I've been fated with Mallu's because even 2006 when I came, the first day I came, my roommate, Bharat, he's also from Calicut only. From like same place where Cheta is from. So I've been eating like Mallu food since then only. And that when we came here also because of I think the kind of food we have.
Yeah.
Like
What
all
would that
the
be? What kind of food would you
So
guys-
in beans instead of potato you put beef.
Man, like what I like about Kalimpong food is, first of all, they're rice eaters, just like this thing. Even though rice is different in its texture, there's also a lot of vegetable stuff. But the vegetable stuff, the difference is it's not made in that gooey format. It's like a lot of like greens. There'll be rai ko saag or like some form of saag will be there, and then potato will be almost like very like sort of. How do you
Sauté.
Damalu and sale roti is a freaking combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's variety, like I said. So there'll be a bunch of vegetables mixed in a way which is like directly accessible for your. So it's palate friendly, and then meat or fish, right? So it's like a like undefeatable combo. I feel rice, veggies, and meat is like so. It's a full meal for me. And then apart from that, the variety that you get in terms of snacks and other forms of meals, like in terms of pale or like momos or Tibetan cuisine is there. Like so because Kalimpong, I feel, is in a place where it's like a crazy junction, man. Like so. Bhutan is right there. Bangladesh is close by. It's the state of West Bengal anyway. And the Nepal is right there. Literally like an hour you drive, you're in Nepal. So it's a crazy place, right, in terms of the culture. And the Sikkim is there.
Yeah.
So even though they all probably speak similar languages, you should understand that culturally it's all different. Cuisines are different, you know. So there's Tibetan food, Bhutanese food, West Bengal food. Kalimpong has its own Darjeeling, and even though they are Nepalese people living there, but the food is very different from how they eat in Nepal. Even though it's Nepali food, it tastes
very different. It's a mix of different cultures, you know, because Kalimpong and Darjeeling and all, you have to understand is that they're like British-made towns actually, right? Like it's got that colonial origin.
There's an imposed cosmopolitanism over there, almost, no?
And many people have come and migrated in. And, I mean, today we consider them small places, but back in the day, I guess they were considered cities for that entire region. You know, like Nepal, we have folk songs where we talk about the lights in Darjeeling, and it's like such a city place. Gold grows there. So people have migrated in from everywhere, from Tibet, from Bhutan, from Darjeeling, from Bangladesh, from Bihar. So it's got a very mixed cuisine kind of a situation happening.
It's evolved.
Yeah.
It's really evolved.
And now it's like almost like a ethnicity of its own, you know, like everybody's like, we are from here.
Like as a South Indian, when I first tasted momo, I was wondering, because it's a genius dish, right? I was like, where is this from? I wanted to find out where it's actually from and where to go to eat it authentically. Right? I always assumed that it's a Northeast or some origin like that. I never really knew the real place where this comes from. But then now I've eaten momos in multiple places. Whenever we go that side, like we've eaten in Northeast, we've eaten in Nepal a lot. Darjeeling, we've eaten in Kalimpong. I should say the world's best momos come from Kalimpong. There's no Kalimpong.
Okay.
There's no other place, bro. Momos source ground zero is Kalimpong. Taste wise alone, purely taste and its evolution wise. Like there are some restaurants you go and you eat their momos. That taste will stay with you. Whenever you think of momos, that you'll remember that restaurant.
Goodness, man.
Good. Yeah, I can
Thanks for
recommend
that
some.
tip.
Yeah.
For people who haven't tasted that level of momos, please come to Kalimpong.
Yeah.
There's
Nepal
this,
momos.
restaurant called New Restaurant.
I love Nepal as a country, but momos, they haven't cracked.
Really? Oh, wow. Who would have
They haven't
thunk?
cracked.
Wow.
They haven't cracked.
Thanks for that.
Touchy topic. Sudipto, you're pushing.
Yeah, probably I'll get censored for this. I'll get cancelled for this back when I go back in Nepal.
Nepal, huh?
By the way, Nepal's also like for us very home-based type of thing. Because we've now been going there for 5-6 years regularly. And I should say, in spite of them being Nepalis by ethnically, we've started going to Nepal together. So our entrance into Nepal is for 5 of us, I should say it's around the same time.
Oh, okay.
So we also go for food expeditions there, but then you get to compare a little bit. There are amazing food there, like but different.
But not the
momos and stuff like that. It's always Kalimpong.
They say you are what you eat. So this music has a little bit of momo in it. You know?
I'll tell you, this music has
Momos and
momos.
appams, bro.
It has
Momos and appams.
Yeah.
Nice.
Momo, appam.
There are a lot of stew, appam, a lot of like that beef fry, a lot of squid fry. Momos is there, obviously. Some tupai in there.
But let's come back to the music.
The aloo dum for sure.
Calm down. Everyone's a little
This has
hungry,
become
you know?
more like a culinary interview.
No. But food is political. It is who you are. Like I said, it's what makes you, and it nourishes you beyond just the stomach. You know. So and
I think all art come once the stomach's full. I think
that, and also just to talk about these dishes is political, if you'll allow me to say this, right? I mean, we are all aware of the kind of times we live in. So to mention BDF stands for beef dry fry, you know. So, you know, just to be able to say that, you know, for me, in fact,
feels really
feels good. And I count my graces that I work for an outlet in which I can even say this.
Yeah,
you know, otherwise by now I'd have gotten one call from my editor saying that what are you saying on air? But come to the music. Now here you've described to me by way of food, a very diverse region. Okay. And Sidhu, you know, as a lead guitarist, I want you to, because a lot of what you would do and the vocalist would do, you know, is to create a kind of a soundscape in the mindscape. Okay, which is that you don't know where the sound is coming from. It is something you must have. It's a ting or a tang that you might have heard when you were a kid, and that's adding and to fuel to that fire that you have and all that. So tell me, now you have these people who are having 20 different kinds of momo. They're definitely creating as a result 20 different types of musical, outputs.
What I feel about the cultural music is of what I know is that they usually use 5 notes, the pentatonic scale, which is also used in black music, like playing blues, right? So if you mix match it in a way, you can make it sound like Nepali traditional music, or you can make it sound like from Mali, from different places, from Mongolia.
So I wasn't wrong, no? I was getting that hint of
Yeah,
that
because
thing.
see, I can show you. See, if I take A, so if I want to play blues, but if I want to play like Nepali or ethnic music, same notes, 5
Nice.
notes, right? I feel that's the way to do it. So
Trying
So
to
now we'll
showcase.
play you something from this other form called Selo,
Okay.
which belongs to the Tamang tribe actually.
Tell us a little about them.
I think actually it's like Tamang means, I think they are like
horse riders.
horse
actually.
people.
Ta means horse,
Horse
Mang means like
people.
warriors.
And I think
horse warriors.
some years ago they were like banished from Tibet
Yes.
when some legend is there, and then they've ridden down south and they existed in the Silk Route path. So actually Kalimpong, Darjeeling, Nepal, it all
Falls on the
in
route only. Oh, wow.
आन्टीको तातो बखैँचा
No, but it's all good. It's all good. We get 2 takes then. Great for us. Huh?
Our manager only started calling.
आन्टीको तातो बखैँचा मोहरी तिर्खामा भमरी फुलको गुल्छोमा मथिरा मोहनी मिठासम्म भुलिन्छ Potina Ota Chap Chape Gaza Sar Sar Sari Atio Consiri Kamaima Rani Ko Basana Harata
Wow. So thanks for that. All the stuff you said in the beginning. So when you were playing this, I'm imagining cavalry. Okay, I'm imagining cavalry cutting across that landscape. There is rocks, there's hills, I'm seeing browns, I'm seeing grasslands, I'm seeing all of that.
Yeah. But that story I told you is also, it's like a legend.
Sure. No,
So-
but
And today it's like a dance thing.
bear with
They
me because
actually-
my entry into this was what you said, which is so obviously when you're playing this, I'm imagining all of these hooves, adding to the rhythm. Okay.
I mean, but
wow.
when we wrote this, I still remember it was in Sidhu's house in Kalimpong. We were like in one of those trips that we had gone back for practice or
Sure.
something. We were staying back for a while in Kalimpong.
Yeah.
And then randomly, the thing about Gauley Bhai is that it's not like we ever like planned like, okay guys, let's take this thing and let's make the song.
Yeah.
Actually, like we were just jamming and somehow Joe played this beat. I still remember that day clearly. You know?
Which one?
They taught me. I started listening to this music a little bit to understand what happens is that we're also always looking for devices to write more stuff. So like any beat or lick or something we can take, we always sort of come back home and sort of try our thing at it. So this is kind of like an interpretation. So basically what happens with cello is that it's got this low frequency and then it's a high frequency. So play between both. So like doom, cha, doom, doom. Right, this kind of rhythm is there.
actual cello.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So we were listening to that and then I was trying to transcribe it onto my kit. So this is I came up with this beat and then obviously we were playing this riff. So it was like. So I tried to hip hop it a little bit.
Right.
So a little bit swing. So. Something like that.
So immediately then the whole song just came together, you know.
And to go with that, okay. Now a lot of people think that one guy with this guitar which has only 4 strings who's standing over there without any expression is not doing anything.
Okay. I was wondering what you're getting at.
Most people think, they wonder, acha, the lead guitarist is like, licking the, frets and all of that. Everybody's like into the thing and all of that. And then you have this bass guitarist who's got no expressions and all that. So when this is happening, where is the accompaniment happening? Where is the tana bana happening between these two elements? And speak to me about that.
Basically, bass by nature is an instrument which has percussion, but also has notes, right? The thing, because it's got such thick strings, I can really get a low. So basically, if I have to really go to the basics of it, is my kick, is my snare, right? So if he's doing if he's playing that, so I immediately play. Right, but the way I personally look at my bass is also, in the sense, my influences are not just bass players, right? Like I listen to a lot of like other forms of music, like it could be folk or it could be jazz or anything. But I try to draw my playing from different instruments. That's my point. Like like recently I've been playing, like my friend in Kalimpong has this instrument called drangye. It's actually a Tibetan instrument. And it's really weird, right? Because generally in normal instruments, your bass string is always on the top, but in drangye it's below, like And also when I play these other little instruments, there's a brother of mine in Kalimpong who's gifted us this one dotara, and so dotara, and I feel there are a few instruments, right, like sarangi, dotara, and all, which actually exists in this entire section from Rajasthan to Nepal to Tibet, and it's actually the same instrument. It's just a different interpretation of it. Like like a tungna is actually drangye is the Tibetan version of a tungna, right? And as that tungna comes down, it becomes dotara in India. Like so it keeps on moving. Like when it comes to Bengal, a dotara has 5 strings and in the middle there are 2 strings, right? I think it's a combination like that, right? But when it reaches Bihar, again there are 2 strings in the middle and one string on top and bottom, right?
Like sympathetic strings.
Sympathetic strings. So it gives me a lot of different styles. Like in tungna you play like. So this is actually a folk song. So I'm trying to like transcribe all these things also in my bass. So I'm trying to bridge that gap and
That bassy voice, what are you doing with that in addition to this?
Can you sing that
just
properly?
The lovely bassy voice, I mean, wow.
Yeah, that's just.
Can you do that again?
Yeah. So basically, this is a
goodness.
So you can really so bass also gives me that opportunity because it's a very percussive instrument too. So it's like a gap. So it links Joe and these two together.
Sure.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Most of the
I think
time.
sometimes I feel like the rhythm and percussion in Gauley Bhai, right? It really adds, it really defines this, like why I think people find it so folky.
Yeah.
And so like rooted to this kind of
But which
geographical-
folky? That's the thing. It's literally, now that you mention it, I'm literally thinking, where folk of what region? Largely, I'm looking at the Silk Route only. Like I'm imagining Kazakhstan.
See, it's not like
and-
that also. I
yeah,
think it's
Mongolia.
because see, Joe is also coming from his own kind of a space, right?
Sure, of course.
I think more than anything, I think it's love for that sound, man. It's got nothing to do with like that side or anything. Like we have a song called Moro, and Moro is a funeral song that we wrote for a friend, Siddhan's cousin, actually, when he died. And there is a second part of the song where it's a section where the mother laments the death of the son, and there is a vibe to it. And over there, what I'm actually playing is this is actually is it Bharatnatyam or Kathak?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's Bharatnatyam, right? So Siddhan's grandma is a Bharatnatyam teacher,
No way.
right? So when
Sitting in Kalimpong.
when I was a child, and since we lived in the same building, right, I always heard this tam dik tam te tat te tam dik tam te, and then girls dancing to the music, and that always stayed with me, bro. And now that's what I play with my band. It's like tam dik tam te tat te tam dik tam te tat te tam dik tam te tat te tam dik tam te. So I think it's the love, because we're not actually folk.
Yeah, that's what I think we keep clarifying. Like we are not folk musicians and we're not playing folk.
Yeah.
दिनको पानीले कुटेर हामी दुईकै रङ फेरि तिमीलाई नै रोजेर खाटमा नै पर्खी बसी मध्यरात परिगएन तिमी ढिटा बनी फोन गर्छु रिङ लाग्छ चुपचाप काट्छौ तिमी राति राति म सडक र फाटक चुरो सल्काइ हिँडे बितेका दिन सम्हालेर तिम्रो नै चिठी पढे.
All right, we were about to talk about a very interesting collaboration that Gauley Bhai got into. Just when we were about to start that conversation, of course, we had to leave that commercial studio because we ran out of time. And now we're back again in the TNM studio. The good thing, the silver lining in that whole mix-up was the fact that we could stop on the way at EG Pura, where we had, what all did we have, guys?
We have fal, veal, paya soup.
Paya,
Idiyappams.
Idiyappams.
Pasu.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable now?
No, we are uncomfortable, but we like it.
Yeah, this is all your fault. Like, if you keep the subscription money coming, we can make them comfortable next time.
Guys, we have given some
We have a few more
subscription
chairs,
money,
yeah.
so some seats can be added.
Some seeds.
Few more seats. But no, I mean, this collaboration that I wanted to talk about. So you guys are allegedly a rock band, but then you're also what do you call, somebody would say there's a bluesy element, there's this, there's that, and still, but it's still part of one broad, finite universe. And suddenly you go and do this collaboration with a bunch of hip hop artists. What is that about? These guys are called Tista Troopers. Yes. Yeah. Who are the Tista Troopers? What is the scene? Who are they? And why are you working with them?
So to tell you the story in short, Tista is like a river that's somewhere close to Kalimpong. And it's kind of close to our house only. It's like a 20-minute drive from my place.
Which is in West Bengal.
It's in West Bengal, by the way. Yeah, North Bengal, as we call it. But then I think ever since, for the last 10 years, that area has been kind of affected by infrastructural development, which means that anyways, before the Britishers have made like this main highway, and that highway is an important one because it connects the mainland of India with like a lot of the northeastern regions, even Bhutan and Assam. That's how you get to Guwahati Highway Express, you know. So, but then recently for the last 10 years, like hydro dams and all have started to have come about in the region, and which has really impacted the place in many ways, obviously, and like each related to the other. So I think my personal involvement there started around 2015, like a few years before we started jamming as Gauley Bhai and all. And through those times, like I had, I think, gone back. There was a time in my life when I was feeling very directionless, right? So then at that time, as many people do, I had gone back to seek for like some kind of, I don't know, I had gone back because I wanted to work with our landscape, with where we come from, to just understand yourself better, to understand like, you know, histories, and that kind of a search was there. But landing up back home, somehow I found myself there, standing on that Tista bridge, and I was looking at the river, and the river had actually come up by like a lot of like distance, and it was right close to us, and I was seeing that it was affecting the way people live, the way people work. So through these things, it was also affecting like the life of young people. So that way I had made a friend, and like my friend's son over time that I had grown close to, whose name was also Siddhant actually. So Siddhant, later on, he kind of showed me when I used to hang out there, and I used to hang out there a lot because I was kind of trying to understand what was going on in our place. Siddhant had introduced me to a lot of his friends, you know, and all of them had some kind of a musical inclination, basically. So what I had noticed was that these were like very young people who were writing their own songs, but without any like, they don't have any, any cultural capital in that sense, you know. So it's like, it's not informed, like technically, theoretically and all. Like, so they were just using like beats from YouTube, and then they were writing like rap songs to that, or somebody was singing in church, somebody was doing something, and then our basic idea was then to kind of work with these kind of kids, because then there was a project I was working on, which was basically, it was some kind of a research project, and I was looking at how these kind of infrastructural changes and changes in landscape, let's call it, were affecting the state of mind of people, because our place is run down by rampant addiction, huge amount of suicides. Anyways, the political situation, climate is in a situation of crisis. It's like breaking down. It's just a constant spiral downwards, you know. So based on that, like what we went in to do was like, I was trying to study how then, where is it today? Like a lot of the communities that come from folk music and like communities that practice folk music traditionally, my curiosity was so what are these kids doing today, right? Because nobody in our place, because we are in a plantation kind of culture, right? Like Darjeeling, Kalimpong and all, they being like, since the Britishers started it 100 years ago, it was a plantation. I'd noticed basically in my research, the main thing was that folk musicians without agriculture are not performing folk music. So there was a good side, positive, and a negative side to that, let's say. A lot of it is, I believe today, is on the positive side, because see, the thing is like feudal conditions allow certain systems to play in order. And in that system somewhere, the folk musician is required for the entire system to work, actually. But then I think what happens with the plantation thing is that feudal system is taken away. I mean, there is hegemony, there is class, there is a master and slave. That's all, everything is there. But then that feudal system is somehow been removed. You know, so in that sense, there's a vacuum there now, because a lot of the folk musicians and all do not have the need to. There is no need for them to learn it. So I think a generation or two, one generation before, let's say, I think from that generation there has been a gap. You know, and in our place, that's why we start this one song. The song that we started with, it actually starts with just like England, Gorkhaland. You know, like. But in that, I was kind of trying to refer to this aspect of it. So we call us, in our place, if something is damn good, we will say, oh, that's British, man. It's so good. You know, so coming from that kind of a space, the question was then, today, what is our practice? You know, and interestingly, if you look at it, Darjeeling, Kalimpong have contributed a lot in contemporary music, like pop Nepali music. A lot of contribution has gone from that region, I think. You know, even today people will say, right, oh, everybody from there will either play a guitar or sing or something they will do. I think it's owed to that kind of a situation that we are coming from. So which brings us to that fact that as a part of the research, what we did was that, because we wanted it to also be participatory. Ek to, I was looking at it in a way that it's an opportunity for us to write our own history, which is rare. That region and all, if you see, is completely isolated, is depoliticized. It's like removed from that political discourse completely. So then we were also, when we went in there, it was also an idea to kind of, yes, it is a chance to really look at our place that way. So as part of that participatory methodology, we made a room under the highway. We requested some people this, that. I remember these guys are from there, so they know the place here and a little bit. I remember the first day Joe landed, and then Joe and me went to Silgudi somewhere. We searched, we found a kit for literally 6,000 rupees. One drum kit from somewhere. We sourced it.
They were making the drum kit.
They made it there with screws and bolts, with some plywood and sun mica. They made the kit. And we took that drum kit, and there was this room where I think it was being previously used by... and today also in Tista, there's a lot of... the Indian Railways is building this large military railway line that will go straight up to Nathula. It's like the China border there. So I think that railway construction and all is rampant today. So some people who are working as labor in one of those sites must have been staying there. So it was a room which has this huge bed. It was completely run down. So we kind of went, and the central idea was that we would sit there for almost a year. And it was an open invitation to the community there. Because of Siddhant that I was saying, my friend's son, I had come to know a few of these characters like Ashish, who I will talk about later, Daniel, Anil, a few of them who are there even today in the Troopers. So these guys had helped us set up. So we went there, we bought paint, we painted that room, and suddenly it was called the Tista Jam Room. And in the Tista Jam Room, the idea was simple. We'll go there and jam, 4 of us, every day. And whoever is interested, if you have written a song, if you want to sing a song, you can come and we will play your song for you, with you. We will jam with you, no matter who you are. Right? So a lot of these kids already had ideas, they'd written songs, so they were coming.
You became like Dr. Dre for them.
Inspired by those kind of stories, definitely, I think. And the idea was that because there is so much rampant addiction and this thing, one thing was that you be sober in this room.
No, because a lot of these people who Dre produced, right, talk about this, that this man literally saved us from the street. He checked out my sample and then he liked it, and then my life changed. And But
we can't claim that level of clout.
No, of course. Yeah.
What I remember from what Vijit was saying at the time was that he came to me and he said there's this project, the research thing. Basically, it came about as a research project, finding out more and writing about what the life is over there. And then these characters who are musicians, who are really good musicians according to me. What I found was there was this deprivation, the sense of deprivation was not just more than life itself. It was conceptual. It was philosophical deprivation, because they were really struggling with a lot of addiction. What do you call aimlessness? In spite of the fact that they were writing some amazing stuff, right? So they are talking about life, and they're really behaving like mature writers. But outside of that realm in their bedroom, they're really suffering in all other aspects of life. So, and we can relate with that because that happens to us too. When we are in a jam room, we are really locked in on what we want to do, and it's so focused and everything seems fantastic. But then the moment we step out, the realities of life, and then how sometimes 70%, 80% of the plans we make fail. And then it's a big struggle to kind of keep the machine moving forward. So similarly, when we went there, the first couple of days itself, it was very clear that we can make music. And there were a lot of people who could play instruments. They're all on key and pitch, and they understand scales, and they are good singers and good writers, performers. They all have sort of a style.
Instinctively.
The
thing is that they'd never stood in front of a drum kit. I mean, we were coming from that kind of a thing also. They'd never done this idea of a jam.
So production was definitely a thing for us.
It was
production was completely a thing. You mentioned Dr. Ray is a great producer. So production for us also was one of the key factor in this. If there was music, we wanted to help them arrange it and lay it out for them, and also maybe produce. But the songs themselves are a serendipitous result, I must say. That's a result of our maybe 7-8 months of work.
Any chance you think that you might bring them down to Bangalore? Have they come here before?
Actually, yeah, they have come. In the sense, see, the thing is...
Not just Bangalore, I mean, the rest of the peninsula.
See, I think Tista Troopers have played 2 shows in Bangalore. which was one Mara. Again, we always go back to Mara.
Yeah, speak to me about Mara a little bit. I mean, they played a fairly
Yeah, I
important
mean,
role
I
in your
think
journey.
they are
yeah?
people that we really align with in Bangalore.
Okay, Mara is this Bangalore-based art and
Arts and Media Collective.
Arts and
they
Media
call themselves.
Collective. They've been around for as long as what, like almost 20 years now? What,
Yeah.
15 years?
I think.
15, 20 years.
15 years,
Run by Ekta and Angarika largely. I mean, there have been people who've come and gone. But
Ekta, Angarika, Anishi, Ram.
yeah.
So you used
It's named after Ram only. When you say Ram too fast, it becomes Mara.
Mara. Yeah, this is an old thing. Yeah.
Started by me.
Yeah,
Anyway, but Mara,
Yeah.
how do you think it?
And Mara works with a lot of communities
Exactly.
and
So
all. Is
I
what
see this
know,
happening
and-
quite organically because you guys, obviously, I mean, you have your roots there and all of that. But Mara keeps doing this. It keeps facilitating, doing this Dr. Dre thing.
Mara has actually initially like they were pushing us only to be Gauley Bhai and be like, guys, you have to take your music out and all. And through Mara, I think Joe has worked on a couple of projects, right?
I think what I noticed with Mara is that they have this undying spirit to go out and into the crevices where normally people won't go.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and where amazing stuff actually exists, right? In our country is so big, and there's so much music and arts and discussions and discourses that are happening, which is not in the mainstream, but yet they feed the collective consciousness of our country in so many ways, which is crucial. So I think an organization like Mara, the reason why they are so crucial to this thing, at least according to me, is the fact that their ability to sort of stand up to what they resonate with. And consistently over the years, what I've observed is that through the years, they've really done that time and again. And every time, even when I go for their shows, I'm mind blown as to where they're finding. Yeah. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Mara because like consistently they have done crazy, amazing stuff, not mediocre stuff. So when you have friends like that, you're also pushed. You also then want to like sort of like,
I think what Mara main thing where I think we align a lot with Mara, where it comes is that see the thing about something about the arts, right? It's like it is not just something that's on a stage. No, arts is actually required for people to live on and to move on in life. Because without that, it's so dry that you could really fall into a depression. Right? It's like it can really become dark without that. And I think Mara kind of understands that, and Mara has continuously worked with different communities and people who are working like with us, like with the troopers. I think why they come on board is because they also realize that fact, right, that how important something like music can be or theater can be. I think there are multiple projects like how they work with Frida Collective. There is a Frida Theatres Collective that Mara is working on right now. It takes a similar kind of a stance where people coming from a certain history of violence and like of experience and suffering violence, they are now actually kind of using theater to kind of deal with certain things in life and move on. So similarly, I think in our thing also with the troopers, the basic idea was somewhere there because we were seeing the youth just fall into this addiction and suicides. I think it's also because like, see, when you wake up in the morning and then you see that what was yesterday has only deteriorated today, right? There is no, and after a while, after a few years, I think what sinks inside is that it's not going to change to a better reality. What you'll realize that the forces that are at play here, the money that comes is billions of dollars from World Bank. Actually, it's coming, right? Hydroelectricity and all. The kind of construction companies that are there, the kind of work that is going on. And after a while, I think after a decade, the people there, even us, are now realizing that no, it's not going to change in a different way. So the only thing you can do is move along with it and you try and survive. So people will negotiate, road de do, ghar de do, something else will move on like that, So for the young people, what I'm seeing is that what our parents had today, if you take a place like ours, which I'm sure a lot of people in India will resonate with me on this, it's like what the parents had, right? When it comes to inheritance, it's not just wealth, nah. You inherit leisure, time, like your free time, what you do in free time. Like you can go to the river, you can go to the tree outside, you can, look at the sky. But when even those things are taken away, then literally life then at some point starts to behave like there is only labor. There is a lot of dust and labor, right? I think that has taken that place into this kind of a move, into the depression. And our basic key we were coming was there. Like that, if there is that jam room, and we are able to play and find music through this, then for the young people, it is, then tomorrow when you wake up, fine, it's dusty as hell. That green hill, paradise kind of a place has just become dust, debris, and labor work is there. But still now music gives an add-on, you know. I think one key thing was that Siddhant, no, that kid, actually he committed suicide like some time back. Just around the time we were trying to do this, and
Maybe weeks before we landed.
just few weeks, 1 week. Like we'd
Exactly
got
a
the
week.
grant. We'd got the grant. We were like there. It was going to happen. He called me also being like, can we do this faster? And to our sadness, like we couldn't do it faster. Within a days, by the time we played a few gigs and we came back, that incident had already happened. I think that really moved some and really reinstilled that conviction, you know, that, yeah, young people need something here. Because otherwise everybody talks about like the house is going, we say that, okay, 300 houses lost, 400 lives lost, so many people displaced. But what we don't realize is that actually these are just numbers. But when you really go inside it and you see the houses, inside the houses, the rooms, the beds, the chairs and all, reality starts sitting very slightly differently.
It
I
looks like a
suppose.
Holocaust museum, huh? Have you heard of these Holocaust museums where they have hats of people who were like imprisoned and hair and clothes and
So in that reality, I think our effort was to also just that jam room to be something, right? And I
Sure.
think actually positively, I can say things have changed. A lot of the people who came there, at least the 5-6 of them finally who retained themselves in the jam room, are doing better. 2 of them actually live in Ijipura right now where we were eating beef.
oh really?
One of her main boys, they've beaten things like depression and addiction.
Yeah.
He's working for Domino's delivery. He delivers pizzas. He's making money. 30K apparently he makes every month.
In fact, I remember a conversation with Ashish, this particular person. He was telling me that he wants to move out of Tista and find a rented house and do some work and live somewhere. And he was saying, I want to move to Kalimpong, find a house. So I was like, it's actually easy. You just have to do a job, get rid of all the other stuff that you are like messing about with, and just pay your rent. Every month you have to have this thing of, okay, I need to pay this rent, right? But now he's doing it in Bangalore. So he's come all the way down south and he's doing really well and completely clean.
His
sober.
other friend Manoj was working in British Council as a security guard in Delhi. Like, so people are
When you
moving
say
on.
clean
like-
and all of that, I mean, what are we? So I'm trying to get an image. I mean, what kind of substances are people there?
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar. How? I mean, what? It's the cheapest.
no,
available
it's
liquid?
not.
It's
See,
crack in general.
I don't know,
Crack,
man.
yeah.
I mean, if we have to talk about addiction, I feel that it is maybe people have intentions, man. Because in our place, drugs comes in with the movement, with the Andolan times. The entry of drugs into that region is from the Andolan times. And the Andolan is your own Andolan actually, right? It's called the Gorkha Land Andolan.
Good, you brought that up. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
So addiction comes in with that somehow, with the gang lords, with like how they've maintained the boys, their dependency on, you know,
Drugs.
on violence and drugs. And then the kind of drugs but that was moving was what we call, I think, it's not actually narcotics, it's called cosmetic drugs first. Cosmetic drugs means things like codeine, Spasmol, N10, you know, Dendrite, all these different kinds of blue, erasix, whatever. But these kind of things was rampant, and that is what is cheap, right? That is what is available. SP, I think for $50, you'll get one handful of it,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, and 2 is good or whatever for people. But then nowadays, but what I noticed after, I mean, how crazy should I say? I mean, scarily, I'll say. But then after the railways and all have come in, last 2 years, 3 years before when I went, because I've been like studying the place and working there for like 8 years now, right? After the 5th year, 6th year, when I went 2 years ago, 3 years ago, suddenly, like I was hanging out with the same guys who was into codeine and all. So I thought they're going to have codeine now. But then they took out a foil and they started chasing. So then I realized, shit, things have changed. Suddenly it's come to brown sugar, right? Crack. But then, and then what I've noticed is that the police, right? You see, it's a small place. It's like hardly 200 houses, 300 houses, right?
Yeah.
In total. Even a kid knows who's the dealer, who takes drugs, who does this. Everybody knows. It's not that everybody knows, right? In a place, like it's a small place.
Yeah.
And then you will find that the police are arresting certain people and they're not arresting certain people, right? And what the certain people are dealing with is the minor cosmetic drugs, which is also very harmful. We agree. But then somehow the brown sugar is left alone. It's like rampantly, it's like selling now. So much so that now anybody who wants to get high has to buy brown sugar. And brown sugar is obviously way more damaging. We know that. it is the more it can really take lives, So these kind of things is there on the side.
But I also feel there is an active push of drugs into that place. Because when you
laughing from saying it.
when you see
The
cases
push,
and all
no,
that.
that's actually that push thing, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we talk about the deep state, and how it seeks to destabilize radical populations,
Sure, yeah.
and
It all goes hand in hand.
and this is just like I want to guard against any conspiracy theorizing, But I'm okay now. So there is this climate thing, and whenever the question of climate comes, no, for me always the question of people comes. Of course it's about the flora and the fauna.
Yeah,
and
I'm
the
with you
land.
on that. It's about people
It's about
who are living
people.
there and they have to suffer.
And in the case of people, the people who are on the edge of land, people on the edge of land are invariably people who are also on the edge of society. Okay, and when the land is vanishing, when the land is collapsing, when the land is being washed away, it is the people on the fringes who are getting washed away. Is in a metaphorical sense, that's what that's the image I get. Now, who are these people? These are also people who are culturally subordinated by this great Bengali nation, right? West Bengal and Darjeeling and all of that. Just this previous episode, I had somebody who was thrown out of Bengal into a Chhattisgarh, into a Bastar. We're talking about Manjit Sarkar. His entire story is about how these were the undesirables of Bengal. And then you have the desire of Bengal, not for the people of your land, but for the land itself. Hill station chahiye na for chutti.
Not just that, it's also rich.
I think it is rich.
So
yeah.
I know that I will not be able to do justice to this topic in the time that we have left, But speak to me a little bit about this settler colonialism that is a term that often I hear from people.
Neo-colonialism is what we also call it.
How can we talk about it in a way that is relevant in this conversation? And perhaps, because of the paucity of time, if you'll allow me, and definitely, this is a conversation I want to keep having going forward. This is the first of our discussions. I really hope that there'll be like many follow-up discussions, and I really hope that I can come across there and
come
interview
once
you
and
in
I
your
will
setting.
take
You
through
must
it.
go.
Yeah, I
You must
interviewed
go.
you in this setting, in this home, and I don't know, Ronak. I mean, you spent more time there than your brother, you think?
In Tista?
Yeah.
No, I think Vishit's only spent more time in
Okay.
Tista.
No, but in Kalimpong and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'll trust you to
Yeah, for
do
sure,
this for me.
Please,
But
please.
help me understand what Gorkhaland. You're saying that this is the dream is of a Gorkhaland, of autonomy, of a region defined by identity. The moment you get into that territory, then you have to really look at the demographics of that place and then consider the fact that Gorkhas are not the only people there. Gorkha is the Nepalese
I'll
extraction.
just explain it to you.
Yeah.
I'll put
So-
it across.
No, I'm just saying the framework and then fill me in on this. So what I understand from outside is that Gorkhas are not the only people of that region. But then there is this huge movement for Gorkha land. Who are the other
So
people?
this is
How
a
does it tie in?
problematic
Yeah.
thing, Actually,
Go
it's
on.
great you picked up on it. Like
Yeah.
I was also going to raise this. See, number one, actually, I think in 2024 now it's going to be 2025 very soon. Gorkhaland in itself perhaps is already a defunct idea, right? But I think what has happened is like it's important to see the historically somehow you have to look at it. One is the Nepali population in general that is related to Nepal and like other histories, etc., etc. But when it comes to Darjeeling and Kalimpong specifically, as I was saying, because it is a plantation town, right? Because I was telling you it is a British-made thing. Like the British took control of it from Sikkim. Kalimpong is actually from Bhutan, right? And why the British came there is because of the war with Nepal, and the Indo-Nepal Treaty stands even today. And that is why. So once the British and the Nepal war fight happens, and because of the involvement over there, this was a very tumultuous region back in history. Around the time, when 1857. 1857 is when the Sepoy Mutiny, the first revolution happens in India. Queen takes over, and then the story starts, because at the same time, the Queen doesn't want any conflict in and around the subcontinent. So at that time, there's a particular man called T.S. Hooker, I think. And who, as an anthropologist, Hooker went, and Hooker is the one who discovered these regions. But whatever, after the war, there is a letter in which they've said that, let's take this army, right? Because they're fighting this Nepal army, which was composed of, again, different clans, the Mogars we call, the Chetris, etc., Gurung, so on. Many tribes and clans are there, okay? So then the British army takes this Gorkha army, and that is what we call today in the world as a Gorkha regiment. That's when the Gorkhas get popularized as a military race. But actually, I have to clarify, we are an agrarian society. We are actually agricultural people. We are farmers. We learned farming very early in the Himalayan region. One of the first people from interactions with India and all is there, because you're so close to that. And then actually, if you look at the story of agriculture, it moves with the Nepali migration east into Bhutan, northeast, Tibet and all of that. So, Arunachal and all. Like
till Myanmar, like till Burma and all that.
So that's a different story. But then, now there is the confusion, okay? Because the Gorkha army becomes synonymous to this identity of people living in Indian, that Darjeeling, Kalimpong place today. Because what happens is that initially, Gorkha is actually a place in Nepal. And the original king who did this Gorkha conquest we call in Nepal, immediately is so crazy, right? Politics and history is a thing. You cross the border and it's completely different. Because in Nepal, we have this idea of the Gorkha conquest in which it says that the Gorkha king colonized everybody else, right? So today, there are many that Gorkha king sentiments. As my mother's Newar. So my mother's clan is like number one. We're like, these guys oppress us. Leave that aside again. So then Gorkha being an actual place in Nepal, that's one thing. And the British call these guys the Gorkha army, our people, because that king was the Gorkha king. So the Gorkha king's army is what the Britishers are referring to. So now in our place, what happens is that 1909 and all, I think once Darjeeling and all is laid, the Britishers discover Darjeeling, they take it, they take Kalimpong, Darjeeling, whatever, they establish the town, a retreat. And then the Britishers start advertising this place as a retreat. There are like some tags, like views from the mountain is gorgeous, views from the train. They set the toy train. What do you call a toy train today? Back real train. Like Goom and all that. So because of that, then they needed a place, right, to stay. And if you want to make something a retreat, you need economics around it. 85% of the entire land is tea plantations. Kalimpong, they looked at as the first place in Kalimpong was called Seed Farm. Today we call it Sit Farm. But I realized later on, there was this writer called Sarah Bexky, and she came and presented a paper. And then we were like, wow, it makes sense. Because she had access to those original documents. She said, the Queen said, seed farm. That's where we make the seeds to take to the plantation. And there are different plantations of silk, cinchona, etc., etc., etc. So then 2 cities are established. The first political idea comes around 1909. They call ourselves the Hillman's Association. Fast forward, independence and all happens. There were people who said, oh, now what will happen to us? Because we are a colony of a colony, right? British India ka colony was Darjeeling, a retreat. And after independence, there was this one guy, Ranbir Subba, who said that other communities in India may see like a bright future for their people, a better day in this independence of India. But we are left with an uncertainty of what is going to happen to us, right? Because the territories actually, when India got independence, were returned to their princes. The princely kingdoms returned to princes. Ours was not returned to this princes, right? It was kept inside the state of Bengal. And then so what happened is that somehow when the Britishers left, the administrators were already like people from India, right? Who were born of Bengali race or Bihari or whatever. But people were already coming there. So that just carried on. And then fast forward down, 70s, 75, we have like a language Andolan to recognize Nepali as a part of the national languages in India. Now, why Nepali is because I think Nepali became like a lingua franca because of slaves, right? It's plantation, I'm telling you. And under the plantation, that same concept, no feudal distinct. So that hierarchies and all, certain hierarchies were being diluted. People were intermarrying. If in our place, if you see, there is no purebred person. Today, you won't find. Everybody would be like mixed blood. We call it Thember. In Nepali, it's actually an outcast. But in our place, you'll only find Thembers. Intercaste, inter-religion, inter-tribe, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So then Nepali becomes a lingua franca. And by the 70s, 80s, today, none of us know our tribal languages. I mean, I didn't even know what it was till like recently they started giving out like money and boards for different clans, different languages, different. So then people were like, oh, maybe I am like this. And all we had to reconnect. Because you get a housing loan or this or that. It wasn't affecting the voting like situation. So you can imagine the difference in it. Like it wasn't affecting the vote bank. So then 70s, this Andolan happens, Vasa revolution. After that, those leadership runs away. Then this new guy comes, one dude called Subhas Singh, who has really riled up and the thing is that because of the tea plantations, right? I think one of the largest unions, workers' union, was always in Darjeeling, in Bengal. Even today it is one of the largest organizations. So a lot of the communist movements, Naxalite movements, they started with the influence of these tea plantations. And actually, if you go to the doers, which we call the foothills, the tea plantations is like an issue today. It's in a state of famine, even today. Naxalbari and all, we say, all these crazy places. If you're there, you go, you will see that it is, how crazy it is. And then, apart from that, so leaving that aside, so Nepali becomes a lingua franca, whatever, we move on. Subhas Singh comes, Andolan, militancy happens. There was this one day when there was a massacre in town. They're trying to burn this one Indo-Nepal treaty, which kind of makes it, the borders blurred because of that. So citizenship is questioned, identity, etc., etc. But actually the Andolan was for land, because in the tea plantation what happens is, it's so big, right? There are villages inside the tea plantation, there are schools, whatever. The thing is that you can only hold your house as long as one person from your house works in the plantation. So it's like you're in a constant state of bonded labor. So if today as a family, we are educated now, we do not want to work in the plantation, then our house is questioned, right? Then the plantation can take it anytime they want. Somebody else who wants to work there the plantation always has the right, because that land actually belongs to the plantation. So those were the kind of issues actually, are why the Andolan started actually. But then it also got derailed as this identity crisis, and people, see, you can't blame somebody, right? But then there were confusions. I think people were always confused about whether this is an economic problem, an identity problem, a problem of citizenship, first-class citizen, second-class citizen. Like these kind of things were never defined. But Subhas Singh, when he came to this thing, he called, because he was saying that we have served India as the Gorkha army, right? So many people died in that war, this war, Kargil war, we go everywhere. And so then he was like, this place where we are staying, so Gorkha land. So then there was a clash with that original meaning of the word Gorkha, which is just a place, right? And then this guy is calling Gorkha land, but he's referring to the British ka Gorkha land, Britishers Gorkha, right? The Gorkhas. Because British, everybody will call us racially also, it becomes like a racial slur also after a while. Hey, Gorkha army. So then it kind of became like Gorkha land like that. And then coming forward, then in the middle, I think we were very confused as a population. But today, I think it's coming back. We are not so confused anymore. We know, okay, at least it's referring to this and that. And the political thing after the Andalusian has just been a downward spiral. It's a complete crash. This is the worst we've ever been. 2025 is coming.
Happy New Year. I think that's all we have time for.
So today also, there are newer ways, but this neo-colony and this neo-colonialism happens in different ways. Because see, the tea plantation today is more or less like a real estate industry. The Darjeeling tea ka status is going down every year. The tea plantation workers are not happy. Recently, every year in October, the tea unions, the workers union, they do a huge hartal for a bonus. A 10,000 rupee bonus for festival time. They'll never get. Every year they will do a hartal. Every year they'll be like, acha, take 6,000 or whatever. Every year they'll do that. And like that, apart from tea, now there is also these newer things like hydroelectricity is a major game for India. It's not just in our place. All the way through Northeast, Bhutan, Nepal is there everywhere. That has its own, way of, it's also colony, right? It's like the building, apparently it's something 33,000 crores. And you destroy everything in that area, it's just 3,000 crores. So it's like completely, numbers don't add up, So it's like, you're like a sacrificial goat. It's going to go. So it's kind of...
Yeah, but in the middle of all of this, we found Tista Troopers.
Yes.
So they are friends now. So we can always make more music. And I hope there are also a lot more younger people there who are really the younger brothers and the younger generation.
I think it's happening also, so many of those other boys, like these guys got friends and all, they come to us and tell us bro, when is the next version going, next jam room, when is going to happen? Because sadly the jam room we had got swept away by the river in the last glacial flood that came in October.
Yeah,
So
just
if
recently.
how could people help if let's say, you know, do you guys have like a fund for this? Is there anywhere that people can contribute?
We've discussed this at great lengths as
Hmm.
to, like, because it's a real question for us too.
Hmm.
Not just in terms of in this context, even as a band, we've actually, because we always want to initiate projects like this, right? So funds always a crucial thing, and people also ask us how can we help you guys.
Yeah.
So this is like something that as of now, we've never like taken money from anybody apart from the grant that Vijit got for his
IFA
research.
gave us a grant
Yeah,
to
so
do
it
that
was-
arts research project.
Yeah, this whole thing came out of that grant,
Hmm.
and then obviously Gauley Bhai also stepped in. So it became a collective project for all of us.
I suppose, you know, I mean, fundraising is one thing, but just listening to the music also adds
That is the biggest support you
to
can give us.
yeah.
We
No,
would
because
really recommend listening to the Tista Troopers album.
Mhm.
And it's amazing music.
I did actually, and I just like I'm going to share like some very superficial observations. You know, the first thing was it sounded so much like Latin rap to me, you know, Latino rap, and
Latino rap?
Latino, and okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
I thought I was imagining it, okay,
Right.
and so Spotify has this thing, right? It'll loop you into the kind of music that it thinks is part of the same genre.
Yeah.
Sure enough, after a few tracks, some Latino started playing. You know, and I said, no, I was not wrong. You know,
Crazy.
yeah, I got that sense, you know, from
Latino,
yeah, it's like Spanish, and you know, there's something about the sound. So there is a lot to discover here, guys. I you'll have to allow me to leave it here. We are completely out of time, and you guys are completely out of your salts. You've been practicing since yesterday, day before, and I've caught you at a time when you're really.
We're recording our album, so we are about to wrap up our second album. And
You have a
Actually,
name
what
for
I
it?
wanted to say,
Yeah.
something if we can share.
Sure,
But
sure.
the process of working with Tista Troopers, it wasn't just one way, because when you give, I think you always get back also.
Mm.
And it was crazy because that entire process of production and all, right, and like the time that we spent there has informed us, right, for the second
like,
album.
We've
Like,
grown as a band through those processes
Yeah.
by leaps and bounds. Like, I think our chemistry and the way we are able to sit in a room and ideate, and I've never experienced this in my life. It's something to say because it's human chemistry and connection, right?
Mm.
It's like I think we've gotten way more deeper into the process of how it is, what it means to collaborate and work. And a band is the best place of collaboration. Like, just four of us are actually collaborating. I mean, he has his individual life, he has his individual life, all of us have our individual lives. But when we come together, we have to leave certain things outside the room and then bring something to the table so that every other brother can take something from it, and vice versa. So this has been so
like our sound in the second album is
It's
kind of
really
move on. It's
different.
going to be a little different than Joro and what we've been doing so
When's
far.
it dropping?
March.
Well, hopefully March or April. Yeah, if everything goes
If everything
well.
goes well.
You don't have a name yet for it, do you?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Let's say we have many names.
Okay, that work with the Troopers is really informed that even the sound of ours, our own sound, you know, like it has really.
Also, they've sung on our song.
They have also sung on our album in Bangalore when they came for that other show.
So will you come again for another discussion when you launch? Will you have the time?
We'll make
We would love to
Rockstars
come
never have the time.
anytime.
We'll make the time, man.
Your people are amazing. Your team is insane, man. Like,
Thank you. But you know, in this story, I mean, you know, it's not a hopeless story because there are some hopeless points over here. You know, where you talk about how this extraction that is happening in that region where you call home, you know, is not going to stop in 2025. You know, but there are so many little silver linings out here, and I suppose this cultural intervention that you guys are making is part of that little silver thread running around.
I
the
think so,
town.
man.
Yeah.
I think over there it is making a difference. I think to those parents, to those friends, to these guys. I mean, we are sensing it. Initially, we also didn't know what will happen. Nah? Like, this guy was imagine.
Yeah.
When Mallu guy is walking around in Tista, and people are like wondering, who is he? And
Now
what's
I
he
know
doing?
the place. Now I can just walk.
they're
I can go to
"Hey,
multiple
Jodha."
houses.
Yeah.
It's become Jodha.
Jodha.
in Tista.
Not Akbar.
I was waiting for someone to say that. But allow me to wrap it here. But you know, there is a lot that I have not touched upon, and I hope that we'll pick up on those things in that time when you come for that discussion about your new album, which is hopefully in March. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to find a way to get to where you are. You know, if you can take us around and if you can do some reporting over there, I'll really be keen to do something like that. If I can't come, you know, I hope that some of my colleagues could come over there. And, you know, right here, our producer Bhuvan is somebody who takes a lot of interest in climate change, in people, places, and their struggles. Yeah.
And go to Kalimpong.
And I do hope that we can, you know, come there and amplify some of these voices. Not in the least the voice of this brilliant musician, but others as well. Yeah.
No, yeah, please come, dude.
On
We'll
behalf
take
of my
you around.
Kalimpong brothers, I also invite.
Yeah.
Go and please, man, come, let's go.
Yeah, we should do this. We should do this. We will raise the funds for it. If we don't have funds for it, we'll just slum it and we'll try.
If you
and
come, it's going to
yeah.
be an epic story at least.
Yeah.
Like, it will be things that need to be, I think, little bit we can get, like, you know, put it in like.
We want to see something
space.
about Satisman going off the map.
See, in our next album, there is this one song that we wrote. But that song we can talk about because that song is called Sadiyantra.
Oh.
And Sadiyantra, as we know, means like a scheme, right? A grand scheme. And for that, we kind of, and that song, right, is kind of dedicated to residents of a certain place. It's called 29th Mile. And 29th Mile is actually removed from a map. Or there was this huge thing, and we are trying to keep it on the map. There are a lot of people who are trying to work on that. But it was the first place where the authorities had come with bulldozers 4 a.m. and they destroyed those houses. They wanted people to move because somehow people were sure that place was gonna go. Coincidentally, I was there on that day. So then there was this uncle who told me in his drunken haze, after a while, around 10 o'clock, then morning 4 o'clock, then 10 o'clock, he was like, come here. And he was really like, I mean, he was shaking, you know. And he was like, I'll take responsibility, brother. You go and you take the story and you tell it to everybody outside. And so that's what we do in that song. It's called Sadiyantra, next album.
Okay, you're storytellers, we are storytellers. We'll keep telling these stories because I suppose the world also changes one story at a
because
time.
in remembering is our protest.
Absolutely.
That is my only thing about protest, this thing and all.
Mm-hmm.
Not like really like protest musician or anything.
Yeah.
But
To memorialize.
Yeah.
To make sure
Till
that
you
things are not
remember,
forgotten.
it will
Yeah.
exist.
I think we should represent also.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Okay.
we do represent.
All right. You're
All the best to you guys too, man.
You're the
All
last
the
act
best.
for this year. What else do you want to say? Do you want to say a Happy New Year?
Happy New Year, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah?
Happy New Year.
Hope everyone has an amazing 2025.
All right.
Because world has gone through tough times. Hope 2025 brings some changes for all of us in positive ways.
Sidhu? Anything about 2025 that you're looking forward to?
The album?
Yeah.
That's what's in our mind. Just thinking about the album.
Yeah.
All right. Ronak?
Yeah, man, album, and I mean, we're really looking forward to the volume 2 of the Jam Room 2. And this time we are planning to expand also into film and this and that. And yeah, man, a lot of things to look forward. We're making a new studio in Bangalore.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully that
A
will.
lot of plans in the pipeline. I hope we are able to just
We will
Check
do
it off.
all of this and come back here.
Super. I wish you all the best and a great new year.
Thank you
and a
so
great
much.
25. Hopefully we'll see you in March, April.
Yes.
That's all we have time for. We've covered a lot of ground. I promise we'll try and do more next year. One of the things I'll try and do is take this discussion on the road a lot more, for which we'll need equipment. Don't forget about that contribution. For now, go have a great time. Enjoy what is left of this year. I'll see you next year.
Also, more
Enjoy.
seats.
More seats required in this studio.